Hi, Dr. Mark Agresti. One of the most important things I deal with in my practice is sleep. All animals need to sleep. As part of the ability to be alive, every animal needs to sleep. Now you're wondering, well, what do whales and porpoises and aquatic mammals do? Well, they shut down part of their brain and the other part keeps them swimming or doing what they need to do. But humans, I will explain why we need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. There's certain illnesses where fatal familial insomnia, where if they don't sleep and they eventually die. Rats deprived of sleep at about 2 weeks die. You have to sleep. As part of the price we pay for being awake, we have to sleep. There's no way around it. No one in the animal kingdom gets away with that. And during this talk, I'll explain why we need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. This is what I treat more than anything else. Hands down, every patient who comes in has a problem with sleep. Some people I do behavioral management, tell them, at the end of this, I'll say how you sleep better. But some people have to use meds or vitamins. We'll get to that. The brain is 2 to 3% of our body mass, but it consumes 25% of the body's energy. So this is it's like a car and it's running really fast. And when the car burns gas, it makes fumes. And so when the brain is burning all these calories, it creates waste. And that's what gets cleaned out when we sleep. And I'll explain more about that in a little bit. First, I want to talk about, some people tell me, well, I don't need sleep. Well, there's a price to pay. 5% of the population has a genetic mutation where they only need 5 hours of sleep a night. Everyone else needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And there's no cheating it. You can't bank sleep. You can't say, well, on the weekend I slept an extra 4 hours so I can deprive myself 4 hours of sleep. No. It does not work like that. You need to be more nights than not on a regular sleep schedule. You can't bank sleep, deprive yourself during the week and oversleep on the weekend. It doesn't work. In the past 50 years, the amount of sleep the average American gets has dropped by about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. That's a lot. And I'll explain the consequences of that in our modern lifestyle and how it is extremely dangerous. You want to watch this video because even my research, I thought it was bad. I didn't realize it was that bad. It's pretty bad. I use the word bad a lot, I guess. Now, people think, well, I don't need sleep and I'll just drink coffee. One of the byproducts of our brain using all the energy it does is producing adenosine, which is a waste product. When it builds up, we have to sleep to get rid of it. Coffee blocks the body's sensors that this toxin is building up. So it's like having your car running in your house. Well, poison builds up and you'll die of carbon monoxide poisoning. But in reality, all that caffeine does, coffee, tea, sodas, all it does is block the body's ability to determine how much adenosine is in it. It blocks the receptor, so the body's like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm not tired. There are consequences to pay. You eventually collapse. That brings me to another topic, which I find interesting. It's about Randy Gardner. I'll talk more about him in a bit, but he was a high school student in the 50s, and as a science fair project, he decided not to sleep. And the maximum, he holds the world record. There's some dispute. There's some other guy, but Tony Wright. But this guy, Gardner, high school student, kept awake for 11 days. I forget what was it, 264 hours and 264.4 hours. He stayed awake. That's the maximum anyone can go without sleep, 11 days. And then the body just shuts down. I'll explain what happened to him in a minute. But also, I get questions when I give lectures, and people say, well, I get up early, or my wife sleeps late and she gets up late. Yes, that's totally normal. There are certain genetic types. It's called the chronotype. There are night owls who go to bed late and wake up late, and then there are larks, they call them. People who get up early, but then go to bed early. It doesn't matter. Whatever your genetic makeup determines how you'll do that, and what your chronotype is, whether you're a night owl or a lark, you're perfectly healthy to do that. That's fine. But not sleeping or depriving yourself sleep, you need that 7 to 9 hours. Yes, I know little newborns get like 16 to 17 hours, and adolescents sleep more. But once you reach adulthood, somewhere around 20, you need 7 to 9 hours. It's a myth that older people need less sleep. They need just as much sleep. The reason they don't sleep is because they're in pain and they can't sleep, or they have bladder problems and have to get up and go to the bathroom, or all the medicines they're on disrupts the sleep architecture. It's a mess. A lot of them are on stimulants, diuretics, drugs that make them drowsy during the day so they don't sleep it well at night. It just doesn't work out. Anyway, let's get back to my little high school student, Randy Gardner. So Randy decides, I'm not going to sleep for my science fair and prove to all these teachers you don't really need sleep. Well, at the beginning of this, he starts getting moody. Then he starts having problems concentrating at about third to fourth day. They say, Randy, take 100 minus 7 and keep subtracting 7. So 93 minus 7 is 86. 86 minus 7 is 79. 79 minus 7 is 72. And then he gets there, and they, Randy, why'd you stop? He goes, what am I doing? He forgot what he was doing. Hello? You lose your ability to concentrate. Short-term memory loss. He couldn't remember what was going on that happened 15 minutes ago. Then something bizarre started happening. He started checking the windows, thinking his friends were conspiring against him because one of them were watching him, and he thought they were doing some evil plot. And then some doctor get involved, and he thought the doctor was poisoning him. A little weird. On the 5th day, he started hallucinating, seeing and hearing things. Then he started having problems with pronunciation. This is just from sleep. Then around the 5th day, when they put objects in his hand, he couldn't determine what they were. Then he started losing his sense of smell. Then he started getting blurred vision. And I'll get more into this. But also I want to discuss adolescents who don't sleep. Their risk of car accidents goes dramatically up, and the rate of suicide goes dramatically up. There are moral lapses in people who don't sleep. The learning problems, and I'll get into that too, but you start getting learning problems. You have an inability to recognize facial expressions. If you don't sleep, problems with morality, reaction time. It's interesting, all the studies on not sleeping, and they all come from basketball players. Their accuracy, their performance metrics all went down, and hockey players, for whatever reason, they were off by even 1 or 2 nights of not sleeping, 30%. So a goalie's reaction time went off by over 30%. That's dramatic. And the ability to learn drops by 40%. I'll talk about some other really bad things that happen when you don't sleep. Just to impact, again, you need your 7 to 9 hours. So the gist of it is, if you don't sleep, your blood pressure goes up, your risk of heart attack goes up, the risk of stroke goes up, you become obese, diabetic, the host of psychiatric and mental illnesses increase dramatically, you die younger, and I'll get more into that in a second. Now I'm going to talk about your endocrine system. That's the body's hormonal system. What happens to your hormonal system? And I'll tell you, with young adults, young males, testosterone levels drop, your ability to produce testosterone levels drop, and in men who sleep less than 6 hours a night, their testicles get smaller, their testosterone drops, and it drops to a level of someone 10 to 11 years older than them. That's pretty serious. Now, what else happens with the estrogen, with the endocrine system? In women, they find fertility goes down, and also sleep is impaired, and estrogen levels, they're not correlating with a decrease, but they're finding that women who have less estrogen sleep less, and their sleep is less productive. but they didn't correlate it with less estrogen. What else happens to your hormone system when you don't sleep? You can correlate this with real life experience. If you don't sleep, you notice that you crave junk and you're eating like a pizza or something high fat, high sugar, or you're eating a bowl of cereal or ice cream, or you're eating some sweet bun. I like those cinnamon, the curly ones at the airport, Cinnabuns. Those are good. Anyway, that's a distraction. I didn't really want to bring that up. So what happens when you don't sleep? You secrete a hormone called ghrelin, Ghrelin, and that makes you hungry. So when you don't sleep, that goes way up, right? So you don't sleep, all of a sudden now you're getting a hormone that makes you hungry, and leptin, the hormone that makes you feel full, goes down. So now your body's telling you to eat more, to be hungry and eat more, and it'll be much harder to get full. What also happens? Growth hormone goes down. That's really not good, because that's what builds protein, heals bone, heals cartilage, restores the body, makes your skin look elastic and keep it looking young looking. And I'll explain the cosmetic effects of not sleeping in a bit, but without the growth hormone production, the increase in ghrelin, which makes you hungry, leptin, which makes you full, then the next thing is cortisol. Increased cortisol, the stress hormone, gets produced at higher levels, and that results in an insulin sensitivity similar to diabetes, meaning sugars in your blood, and it doesn't go to fat cells. It makes you more hungry, makes you gain weight. It's not pretty. So you don't sleep makes you gain weight, and it leads to obesity, no question about it. So that's a serious problem. Your muscles don't heal, your cartilage doesn't heal, you gain weight, you eat more. From a hormonal standpoint, it's not pretty. Next, let's go to toxins. In order to be awake, our body produces adenosine, inflammatory products of metabolism. Just like a car running, we have to remove these pollutants from the brain. The brain, if it's metabolizing, it's producing inflammatory compounds, pollutants, and other toxins and other byproducts of metabolism called beta amyloid and tau proteins. Now, we need to get rid of those, and the body has a system, the lymphatic system, and that's like the garbage disposal system. It coats the entire brain in cerebral spinal fluid, and it pushes all the toxins, inflammatory products, the beta amyloid proteins, and the tau proteins. And I'll explain why I'm using those terms in a minute. And it takes them away where the liver and the kidney metabolize them, and then through urine and feces gets them out of the body, or sweat. Now, the lymphatic system is critical. It's unique to the brain. And the reason the brain has a unique sewage system is because it produces so many toxins. The body has a lymphatic system. It just doesn't burn as many calories per gram as the brain. Now, if you don't sleep and you produce this beta amyloid, that's what is one of the causative factors in Alzheimer's disease and dementia, other types of dementia. So you don't sleep, your risk of dementia goes way up. A lot of other things go bad, but that's a big one. So you have to sleep in order to clear the body of toxins, inflammatory products, to keep the brain healthy. It's critical. Now, the next one is cosmetics. I'm vain, so here's a big one for all the people who are vain and like looking good. They did a study, and it took 4 seconds of looking at an image of different people to decide who hadn't slept. Not sleeping, you look older. Your skin looks more wrinkly. It loses its elastin because you're not releasing that growth hormone. And then sleep is restorative. And a lot of the metabolic pathways that take place at night, genes turn on that which restore the skin, the face, the musculature, the muscle tone, back to a younger looking gestalt or an image. So when these people looked at these people, they could tell right away. And its sexual attractiveness goes way down in people who don't sleep. They did a study on that. It took 4 seconds. What also happens, your eyes get puffy, your face gets droopy, your eyes look bloodshot, enhanced wrinkles, decreased muscle tone, your posture changes. And they say that people don't sleep. Suddenly, like, they lean over and they actually did a study where people sitting in the chair went down, where people who are awake and vivacious and articulate looked much younger, sexier, healthier, and happier. Cosmetics are a huge component here. You don't sleep, you don't look good. So now we know you don't sleep, you get fat. You don't sleep, you look ugly. Okay, so that's not good. So already got a lot of reasons to sleep 7 to 9 hours. Just remember that. From the cardiovascular system. During sleep, our body's blood pressure drops, our heart rate drops, our respirations drop. You know, they did some studies, and some people tell me, sleep is to conserve energy. No, that's debunked. You only save about 110 calories. And to spend 8 hours, a third of your life sleeping, just to save 110 calories, that's about as many calories in a hot dog bun. It's not worth it. So the reason we sleep is not to conserve calories. The reason we sleep is to clear a body of toxins, to heal, to restore, to grow. And there are some psychiatric reasons why, and I'll get into in a minute. So from a cardiovascular standpoint, here's an interesting study. You know, during daylight saving times, in the spring, when we lose an hour of sleep, heart attacks increase by 24%. So not sleeping increases the risk of heart attack and stroke. And the reason is they think hardening of the arteries if you don't sleep because the repair is not getting done, the increase in blood pressure, the increase in heart rate when you don't sleep, and the increase in inflammatory products. All the toxins are just oozing around your brain, just killing it. And it's very neurotoxic. It is a dangerous state when you don't sleep. That's why this lecture is so important. I mean, sleep is basically 80 to 90% of everything I do. Now the psychiatric reasons that we need to sleep. Well, every psychiatric illness either causes sleep disruption or is the result of sleep disruption. You can't concentrate if you don't sleep. It worsens your ability, just like our Randy Gardner, the high school student. He didn't sleep. He can't concentrate. So all these young kids not sleeping go to school early, which is not good. School needs to start later. It needs to start at like 9:30, as far as I'm concerned, 9 o'clock. Because if you make these kids get up early, they're in a state where they can't concentrate because they're sleep deprived, and it mimics attention deficit disorder. So maybe all these kids we're diagnosing with attention deficit disorder, maybe they just have lack of sleep. Here's another one. If you don't sleep, you don't learn. They did studies and they taught people languages, and the people who were instructed on languages and certain aspects of languages right before sleep had a higher retention level than the people who didn't sleep. Memory is also impaired by not sleeping. Creativity is impaired when you don't sleep. It's threefold. People who are sleep deprived have a threefold decrease in creativity. Most schizophrenics have an abnormal circadian rhythm. They sleep during the day and not during the night. Also, some of the psychiatric components, you don't sleep, you have less empathy. You can't recognize the pain and suffering of others. You will lose the ability to understand the facial expressions of pain, suffering, happiness, sadness. Absolutely, the prefrontal cortex right here, which does the decision making, is impaired. They think that the Challenger explosion, Chernobyl, is a consequence of lack of sleep. There's no question. 1 in 5 driving accidents are a result of lack of sleep. And in studies of adolescents, There was some county in Minnesota that started school later, and the number of car crashes in the driving children under 20 went down, and the suicide rate went down. Also, impulsivity increases when you don't sleep. Dangerous behaviors. There's no question. Depression, anxiety, psychosis, panic disorder, a host of psychiatric problems are dramatically increased when people's sleep-wake cycle is impaired. The next area of sleep is the immune system. Here's some interesting stuff. They find that natural killer cells go down in people that don't sleep. What does that mean? Well, that's what kills the cancer cells. We all have these primordial cancer cells floating around us, but our natural killer cells kill them. So if we don't sleep, the number of those natural killer cells goes down. And yes, people who are sleep deprived have higher instances of breast, prostate, and colon cancer. The World Health Organization recently recognized lack of sleep as a carcinogen towards cancer. Go figure. So shift workers or people who are sleep deprived have higher rates of cancer, and it can be directly attributed to not sleeping. Also, they did studies in people who got flu shots, and the ones who were sleep deprived had half the antibody response as the ones who weren't sleep deprived. And also, they gave the vaccine, and the immune response from that vaccine that protected you from what you're being vaccinated from was dramatically less in people who didn't sleep. So cancer goes up, and your ability to mount an immune response goes down. With this coronavirus going down, your immune system is 30 to 40% less if you're sleep deprived, less than 6 hours a night. That's dramatic, people. So you want to fight corona and you want to have a strong immune system, you need to sleep. Also, the restorative nature of sleep. This is one of the final areas. The genes that heal our body, allow muscles to grow. When you lift weights or you exercise, you damage the muscle, and it's the repair process that occurs during sleep that allows muscles to grow, allows for our general health to return, happen during sleep. It's because growth hormone and the genes that are involved in protein, amino acid synthesis and protein synthesis, amino acids being the building blocks of proteins, occurs. These genes turn on during sleep. So if you think you're going to lift weights, run, and then not sleep, you will not develop muscles, you will not have muscle tone. Okay, just to repeat, I hate to beat a dead horse. You need to sleep 7 to 9 hours to be healthy. If you don't, we've learned you will be fat, you won't be able to learn, your concentration and memory will go down, you'll be stupid, and we've learned cosmetically you won't be very appealing, you'll be ugly. So not sleeping, you will be fat, dumb, and ugly. Gee, that doesn't sound good, so you really need to sleep. Now, where are we with how to get a better night's sleep? Here's some general tips. Number 1, get into a routine. Read a little bit before sleeping, brush your teeth, go to bed at the same time every day, try and get up at the same time every day. Routine. Number 2, sleep in a quiet place. It's common sense, so this gets more complicated as we go on. Sleep in a dark place. Any light throws off the melatonin, and melatonin is what tells our body it's time to sleep. It doesn't cause sleepiness. It just says it's time to sleep. It puts us on our circadian rhythm. So now we have dark, cold, quiet, sleep position. They find the best sleep is on your back with your legs elevated to maintain a appropriate spinal cord or spine posture. It's very important. Then here's the big one. Blue light from iPads, computers. 1 hour before sleep, you cannot have the blue light from a computer, an iPad. It's very disruptive to the melatonin cycle, and it tells your body to get up. So don't do that. And remember, the worst thing you can do before sleep is go in your bathroom and turn on a bright light. Use the dimmer and just have a little light before you go to sleep. Read from a book, the kind with paper and not on Kindle or electronic books. It's very important. Dark, quiet, cold, no light, no iPads, no electronic devices. Now, don't drink fluids because as your body goes into sleep, and if it has to go to the bathroom, it wakes up. Your body has mechanisms from the posterior pituitary that releases antidiuretic hormone to prevent the creation of urine during sleep, but you can override that by drinking too much fluid. Don't drink before sleep. Don't eat meals before sleep. It disrupts sleep. A little snack, don't go to bed hungry, but you really need to have your dinner 4 to 5 hours before sleep. No alcohol, caffeine, or nicotine. Now, alcohol, you need about 4 hours. For every drink, you need 4 hours before going to sleep, not to disrupt sleep architecture. Caffeine, get this one, 14 hours. Caffeine is a long half-life, 6 hours. Alcohol is 1 hour. Nicotine, 1 hour. So 4 hours, try not to smoke 4 hours before sleep. And people who are smoking get awakened by withdrawal from nicotine. It's really not good. Alcohol, caffeine, and nicotine are not good for sleep. Neither is sugar. Sugar before bedtime intoxicates you and then wakes you. So no sugar before bedtime. Exercising before bedtime, it gets your body revved up. It's not good. You need about 4 hours. You can't really exercise before bedtime. Then, what else? Taking a bath is good. You think it heats you up, but what it does is it causes the blood to open up the small vessels in your body and put all the blood to the surface of the body, the skin, and then you radiate heat out, and then you cool your body down. So a hot bath is good. Now, what vitamins do you need? Magnesium. Remember magnesium? Epsom salt bath? Your mother used to tell you, take that, it'll calm you down. Magnesium is a calming hormone. So you need magnesium, helps you sleep. Calcium, that's what we manufacture tryptophan from, which is an amino acid which causes drowsiness. So make sure you get calcium. Vitamin D3, you need I think it's 1,000 IUs a day. That helps create tryptophan and helps you sleep. You need iron. You need B vitamins to make tryptophan. So that's very important. You need vitamin E. You need melatonin. Also, what helps is valerian root. It stimulates GABA production. Chamomile helps with restless legs and calms people down. L-theanine. It's another amino acid that has a calming effect. So now I've discussed the risks of not sleeping and some of the methods to sleep, to help you sleep better. This is Dr. Mark Agresti. I would really appreciate people going on my website, dragresti.com, and subscribing to my website. Everything you see on this YouTube video, it's in my blog, in depth, that I do every week, and I've done it for years at dragresti.com. And I would appreciate people hitting the like, giving me some comments, and subscribing. Just hit that subscribe button. I put a lot of preparation into this, and I would appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button. And good luck with the coronavirus, everyone. You have my prayers. Bye.